All right, it is 5 o'clock. Let's go ahead and get the Parks and Public Works Committee meeting started. If we could take roll. Is that all noted there, clerk?
Yes.
And move on to agenda approval. Did anybody have a chance to read through the agenda?
I haven't gotten all the way through it yet.
Well, do you feel comfortable approving it anyway?
Yes, I do, sir.
All right, we'll call it approved. And public comment. Does not appear there's anybody from the public here. Anybody else want to say anything? Then let's move on to the minutes. Approval of the minutes dated November 18th, 2025.
I make a motion to approve.
Second.
They are approved, and let's move on to discussion. Item 2, community center presentation and update. Who's going to speak to this?
I'm going to be taking this one. So I've been asked to provide just kind of a closing update on the community center project. And basically it's two things. As we were preparing to bring this back before council in late summer, hopefully with a successful grant award and other things, back in March, we went ahead and had an economic impact analysis performed on the project by a consultant. I didn't feel comfortable doing it in-house. I've done some in the past when I was doing air shows, and I did the most conservative thing I could do, but this was way beyond, revenue at an air show. So we went out, we hired these people. They are professionals. It's not just witchcraft. They actually pull cell phone data of the current users and then do extrapolations off of that. And one of the most interesting things that I learned through this whole thing is, where do you think 60% of the people go when they leave the YMCA currently?
For ice cream?
Safeway. Which was a surprise to me. So the results of the analysis were that there are over 40 jobs directly tied to the expansion. It would bring in 5.3 million in business revenues, which I believe is just under an increase of $1 million from where it's at now. And then about 2.2 million in the labor income, paying those 40 plus jobs, and that revenue staying in the town. And then just a reminder that the pool itself was designed really maximized to maximize availability for swim lessons, because there's such a drought of availability of swim lessons to our residents. And the YMCA was planning on operating up to 9,600 annual swim lessons a year at the facility. Reminder about this facility, there's been some confusion about size, etc. So the design included a high school competition pool that's 6 lanes, 25 yards, standard high school competition pool. It had area for bleacher seating on the deck, and included the leisure pool. And so we went ahead and provided the square footages of those areas there. And then give you an updated funding picture. Now this is current. This is not projecting at the end of the year or next year or anything else. I asked finance not to do that. I specifically asked what's available now. And there's a little over about $21.5 million available in the REIT. And then the YMCA $2.5 million pledge, which includes a $1.2 million grant from the state. The $1 million King County grant was spent on the design, and that is gone. So that is not available to go into construction. And all that money went to design, 100%. There was some question at one point where only 50% of it was going to be allowed to, but we were able to come to an agreement with King County where they did fund the design 100%.
Wow, that's great.
And then Jeff and I worked with the designers to come up with options on, I don't want to use the word value engineering because Jeff's going to grit his teeth, glare at me because this isn't value engineering, but alternate projects to deliver to drive the price down. So the original design back in 24 was 29.5 million. That same design at the end of summer in 2025 has gone up to 31.5 with the inflation. And then we started saying, all right, well, what if we just did one pool? We just did the competition pool and we eliminated the leisure pool. Well, that would drive the price down to 26.3. And then, well, what if we did that competition pool only and we wanted to add 2 more lanes for a total of 8 lanes, make it a little bit bigger, squeak some more swim lessons in there? Well, that would cost you an extra 1.4. And then the YMCA asked for some specific numbers when we were talking to them about possibly increasing their contribution. And the specific things, and I'm sorry, I got a window blocking part of this for me. The specific things that are non-pool that benefit current operations. There's some administrative offices in the design that equate to about $200,000. There was the addition of 2 fitness rooms that work out to 1.5 million. There were other internal revisions and upgrades to the existing building of about 800,000. And then the exterior sidewalk was 108. And then we didn't ask for this, but it was provided to us, was how much would it be in 2028 to come back and build the leisure pool if we didn't build it now? And we were told it would be a $6 million project in 2028 numbers. That's
And
all I got for you.
going back to that slide, let's see, it escalated all in 2025 was 31 million. The original all in, what year was that? Was that 2025?
Oh, I'm sorry, I got a typo there. It's 2024.
2024. Okay, right.
Thank you for catching that. It's just about the limit of my prescription to see that number.
Questions? Anybody? Got anything?
So we're, right now, to do everything that we had initially wanted with the build out was, so it's almost up to 32 million at this point in time. And does that include so the green, I'm assuming, is all of the YMCA requests as far as the build out for the community expansion?
The
No?
green is the
Green is the-
existing
yeah.
building.
Oh, okay. Got it. And then, but none of this addresses any additional parking. That's going to be what's there and what street parking is available.
Correct.
Um,
That we did identify some projects we could do in the future to increase parking capacity if it was required. But the numbers run by the design planners felt that the existing parking and existing street parking would be sufficient to support this.
And right now, are we still locked in on the, because I know since we had initially locked in on construction prices and things like that with all the tariffs happening and stuff, so are we past that phase?
We never locked in.
Oh, I thought we did a
Nope.
guaranteed maximum price.
We did the project that way, but we never pulled the trigger to
Okay.
lock it in.
Okay.
Mayor, you look like you are ready to say something. No, you're good?
No, I mean, what's really impressive is the economic impact report, right? I mean, first of all, we had the splash pad that opened up this summer and we saw the enormous number of people that were there. And our businesses, local businesses also felt, there's a lot of, I guess, just positive impact to the businesses. It gets back to, people heading to Safeway or ice cream, things like that. But, opening up the pool, they're saying that it would contribute to nearly 170,000 annual visits, which is huge, right? They're not going to just get in their car and drive home. They are going to spend money in Snoqualmie, and increases the number of jobs up to potentially 41 jobs in the area, right? Either there or through visitor spending. So that would be additional jobs at businesses. And just, they're projecting business revenues to be about 5.2 million as a result of it. So that is huge. I think we would definitely see the benefits by many, many benefits by expanding the community center. It also provides safety for our children. Right now, they either drive, if they can get a lesson in North Bend, so they're not on the priority list, you have to be in the district in order to be able to sign up first. So they're either driving to Issaquah or they're driving to Sammamish. And when we submitted the application to the King County for the aquatics grant, there was a listing of mayors that signed on to a letter because, our children are going there to take lessons to Sammamish and to Issaquah. And if we have our own pool, then that actually frees up space so that their youth can also take lessons there as well, right? So there's a lot of benefits by having this pool here centrally in Snoqualmie and opening it soon. And I think you can pick whichever price you want, but I think it is attainable where we are.
Forward to council? With
To-
addition, for discussion?
To what end?
Well,
I
Before
have,
after
I have,
the-
I have a report here with a bunch of numbers that nobody will ever be able to verify. Yes, it will bring in jobs. Yes, it will bring in economic development. Agreed. To this extent, don't know. And I'm really frustrated we keep hiring consultants to come bring unverified numbers that they're never held accountable for or anything else. Okay, I didn't need to spend the money to know that this brought in jobs and brought in retail stuff. I mean, sure, bring it for discussion. I prefer that we wait till after the first of the year.
Actually, I'd prefer to do it now.
Huh?
Only because I've been working on this since like 2017. So we have some pricing options here. It just puts the information out there.
And this administration was at the full meal deal all the way through until you failed, and now you're coming back with options.
We gave you options
You
before.
gave options, but they were always second fiddle. Everything presented in all the public meetings was the full meal deal. Okay, so I really don't want to get into it until we're into the new year. Because it's just gonna be a source of frustration. But you guys can override me?
You got something?
I still think it would be a good idea to at least give the other council members a chance to digest the information. Granted, we haven't even met yet with any of the, the aquatics groups or anything like that. However, I do think that having this to think about, it doesn't mean we have to make a decision next week about it, but just to see where the trends are going and, get other people's perspective on that as well. And I don't think it's I guess what I would say is a failure to deliver just because there were various community surveys that people had different views about things. And I think that, all in all, that the city and administration were looking to go forward. And we actually had options as far as the variant that we picked as far as pool size. And this was the option that was picked by the by the community and the group.
If you ask anybody, do they like cake, they will tell you yes.
Yes, but
You
we're
need to
not
ask
asking.
them, do they like cake and will they pay $5 a slice? Or $6 a slice or $12 a slice? Okay, yes, the surveys came back, everybody wants a pool.
But also with when the options went out for public review, as far as the options placed before at the time we were trying to decide, because then we'd have like 5 or 6 options to pick from as far as at that time that the architect could provide based on our needs. So this was the variant that we came up with between community input and council input and economic development input. So I think that as well as, okay, so if our needs have changed some, there are variations there, with going with just something for the school, and swim lessons, to, like we were saying, the full meal deal, and the difference in prices there. So again, the information has changed a bit, and I still think it's worthwhile to pass that on to other people to, not
Oh.
necessarily make a decision right now about this, but to look at the options that are currently available to us.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think personally, I've always been agnostic about whether or not we need a pool. I've always been agnostic about how we should get the pool, but I've also spoken to hundreds of residents about the pool and a need for the pool. And I agree that we had some polling questions that I also disagreed with about, do you like a pool?
Do you like cake? I
And
get that.
taking, I agree with that criticism, and I think we need to do a better job of putting out realistic polling questions that ask real questions that would put more of a sense of the responsibility of having a pool on the residents that are so interested in having it. That being said, in the conversations that I've had, the overwhelming sense is that Snoqualmie does need a pool, that it's a safety issue, and it's a leisure necessity. These are all an exercise necessity. The sense that I get from the overwhelming majority of Snoqualmie citizens is that we do need to have a pool. Is this the right way to do it? I don't know. But this study does have some very interesting numbers in it. And you could say that it's just numbers on a page, but I don't know. I don't know how often you get hired if you just put numbers on a page. I've never spoken to anybody at Community Attributes Incorporated, and I cannot vouch for them, but I can vouch for the people who chose them. I think they don't. I don't think they're looking for bogus.
I don't fault the conclusions. Yes, there will be employment. Yes, there will be economic impact.
And I think that I think
can't
that
stand on the dollar figure to say that that's it.
sure. And you know what I can say about these numbers is they are wrong.
Yeah.
They are
They could be
wrong.
more, they could be
That's-
less or whatever.
That's true with any
Any
study
the
like
minute you
this at
make an
all.
estimate, you're wrong.
Nobody ever hits a bullseye with it. But that doesn't mean that it's not useful information and good broad strokes to go with. I think it would be a shame not to present this information to the council. And I think that the mayor, whether you agree with the way the work has been done, has worked very hard on this. And I think it's fair. I think it's fair to say, she should be allowed to see this brought to the council on Monday and be able to speak to it. Yeah.
I do think that there are some very reputable sources that were listed as the, resources for gathering this information. And yes, who knows what the economy will be in a year? We sure don't know. But this is certainly, it kind of gives an idea or a sense of, yeah, there's going to be improvement. And I think it'll be for the whole valley. And I think that is also kind of a goal of all of this, is to see what benefit can be brought to the valley as a whole. So, hey, you know, if anybody's like me, I don't like to leave the valley if I can
Sure.
have the needs and wants up here in the valley, so.
Yeah, well, and if anything, my concern is that the full meal deal plan is not big enough.
Yeah.
Because whatever pool comes in
We're gonna,
is going to automatically become a regional pool. And there's no way around it, and there shouldn't be any way around it. In fact, our numbers are saying we want that to be true. We want to serve the region with it. So, I, probably my biggest concern about this project is it's not big enough. But I think these numbers are very useful, and I do believe that the other council members would be interested in seeing them. And I would like the mayor to have the opportunity to speak to it. So my suggestion, I would move that we move this forward to council for the next meeting.
I would second that.
You good with that?
I'm not objecting.
All right, it's unanimous.
Thank you.
No, I didn't object.
Okay, I lost my, dang it. Okay, where were we in this sea of a,
You were at adjournment.
There you go.
were we there? Okay, well,
Dinner presentation update adjournment.
okay, well, I will entertain that motion if anybody has it.
Move to adjourn.
May I interject before we adjourn?
Yes.
So I didn't know if there was any additional information on the corrections officer. I saw there was an email from Deputy Director Bennett.
I didn't get to see the email, but I did know that he was sending it. Will you summarize that for us?
Is,
Do they need-
is
So-
this
Oh,
a
yeah.
motion to amend the agenda and
Yes,
Make all
I'd
the-
like to
Rescind.
rescind my motion to adjourn. Can I get a second?
How often do you say that?
Yeah, can we amend the agenda at this point? Are we allowed to do that? Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to add a discussion about the DOC workers. Can I get a second? Okay.
So I believe Phil was asked to look into the nature of the crimes that potentially the inmates had committed. And they don't share that specific information with us. However,
The question was never particular crime of those inmates of the program. The question was, what level of crime is acceptable to be in the program? And again, I don't understand. Do they not have restrictions on the crimes that would make you ineligible to volunteer into this?
Did you
yes, they
read-
absolutely do.
did you-
Okay,
did you
that's the
read
question, not that individual
Well, the
crime.
question that
Go
that
ahead,
Phil
go ahead.
got was
Yeah.
from you.
Yeah.
Right. So that was not the question. The question was what you had asked. And so we had Jason Battles call over because he has the most close contact with them. So he had written an email, and I can read these to you. And what he said is, this is from Jason Battles. It says, we had a council member ask for more information on the offenses of the individuals, and I'd like to clarify with you what you can and cannot share and why, so we can respond to them, to you, the council. You said that while we cannot disclose, this is something from a previous email he's quoting, while we cannot disclose any specific or individual criminal convictions, I can clarify that we do not assign any worker with a sexual motivated conviction or any history of sexual misconduct while in the community. All assigned workers are within 6 years or less of release and must pass a multidisciplinary screening process that includes classification, medical, mental health, intelligence, and faculty well, facility leadership. I'm not sure what that means. Anyway, other individuals who meet strict safety, behavioral, and program compliance criteria are approved. So they do have a screening process, and it sounds like it's fairly strict. The specific concern is the criminal conviction of murder. This is what Jason asked him. Can you share if any worker is assigned to the crew with that conviction? And if not, can you give the reasoning as to why? And the response came back thusly. Good morning, Jason. Yes, we do allow individuals with that category of conviction to work in the community, but those cases are very rare. When those cases are allowed, we ensure that there are no concerns with the community related to the crime conviction. That is, in parentheses, no family of the victim near the county of the work site. Meaning there's no family in the area where they're working. The reason we allow them is that the screening criteria for those individuals is way stricter compared to other crimes, meaning that they should have been in very good behavior for a very long period to make it in the camp, as they call the camp, in the first place. Also, their camp placement have strict conditions. We call it mutual reentry plan, where they agree to be on the best behavior. If they receive any infractions, they are reviewed and demoted to a higher custody level. So in short, they have much more to lose than other incarcerated if they don't behave well. Often those are the most stable individuals that we have, and they do very well. Hope this helps. That was their response. So, like I said, we think it's very rare. We have only known of one person that had that conviction in the past 14 years, I think, that we've been doing this. And in general, well, not in general, in pretty much all circumstances, we've had nothing but good luck with the prisoners, the incarcerated. They're you know, rough people that have, you know, had a rough time in life, and a lot of them. And I think most of them are trying to get back to, you know, some kind of life. I think prison is a very desperate and miserable place, and they look for any opportunity they can to get out in the real world and, you know, feel the real world again. Yes.
So I noticed in the information, the attachments to the email, they had some of the Department of Corrections policies, and they did go into much more detail about what the requirements were. And a couple of things they did specifically mention. One was they wouldn't send someone who has gotten life without parole out into the community, no matter what hoops they jump through. And then, but if you look at the different categories that they have as far as the job listing positions, the category 4, which would be like a wildland firefighter, has, you know, if you're looking at like potential risk or, you know, for escape or something like that, that is definitely, you know, would be a category where, hey, you're out in the backcountry, and, you know, as long as you don't get burned alive, you know, you have that potential of, you know, slipping off in the chaos that, you know, might erupt from that. But how many, you know, wildland gang crews are there out there? I mean, that's like one of the staples for our state as far as the firefighting. We couldn't do it without them. And so I think that especially for the things that they do for us around here is really beneficial to the city.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So you might go back about 10 years ago, there was a presentation to the council in regards to this program, which went into much more detail. You might, I assume it's still out there attached to one of our council agendas. You might fish so you can see it and see if it's still valid with the Department of Corrections.
Okay.
There was the question of, it's $1 a quarter an hour. Is that really
I think what they pay them is $1.50 an hour. Yeah.
Okay.
Which is actually on the high end of their scale.
And that's
The highest
30%.
level. is, yeah,
Understood, but that's a low end
sure.
for,
For any
any
other economy.
citizen out
Yeah,
there,
right.
whatever.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so
But-
it's not slave labor, but it's,
And to be fair, the citizen out there that's working a job is working for themselves. The inmate who's working a job is also partially paying back a debt to society. That's why they're in prison. And so it's understandable that they wouldn't receive the same level of pay as a citizen who hasn't been convicted of a crime.
understood. There's also the fact, there's a lot of overhead for this, that there is one or two officers with the crew that's here and oversight and everything else. There's an administrative cost to do all this and everything else. That presentation 10 years ago went in some detail of what program costs were and how that worked out to be the pay, how that affected the pay to the inmates on the program, and also how that pay reflected other inmate job opportunities they may have, either in facility or outside facility. If I remember right, it's 10 years. Which may address some of the concerns that you're hearing from some of the other council members.
No, you're the only one who's been here since the police scene.
Well, and that's why I say it was a good presentation.
Okay.
Couple
Alright.
things I could say. So one, on the email that was sent out, there are 2 links which provide a background on all the policies and supporting information that Councilmember Cotton spoke about. And then also what I am going to do is try to get, if you guys wish, I can get somebody hopefully from DOC to come in and talk about the program. Right? Because I think that there are a lot of benefits that maybe council would appreciate knowing. You know, like the reduced rates of recidivism, trying to get them, coordinated with society and the other things like that. It's kind of a resocialization for these folks, right? So I don't know, there's benefits that I'm not aware of, but I think that the state's obviously not making money on this. This isn't like the abusive chain gangs of the past, I think they charge us on average, it comes to about $5.25 an hour for their labor. So the state's obviously not doing this to make money, right? They're doing it as a program for the benefit of the inmates. So I don't know. I think they would be better able to talk about what the benefits of this program are than I am, than we are. And if you guys want, I can try to arrange that. I don't know if they might tell me to go pound sand too. I don't know, but I could ask them if they'll come in and present, if you guys would be interested in that.
It seems to me, I won't be here, but it seems to me that there are council members who had qualms about this program. And if there could ever be a presentation that would help them to feel more comfortable with it, I think that'd be good for the program, good for the city, good for everybody involved.
Yeah, we'll reach out.
Well, and okay, further, I'll tell you, you're probably headed toward council member asking to rescind the contract. And the information provided tonight only adds fuel to that fire.
Mhm.
So, yeah, if you like this contract, you twist arms and get somebody from your Department of Corrections as quick as you can.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, personally, it doesn't matter to us. The only thing that is of concern to us is if we don't have them, then there's a gap that we have to cover,
Yeah.
right? Because, if you look at the dollars that we've spent over the last several years on this, I think in 2023, we spent, about 2,000 hours, came to about $10,800, something like that. And we were just doing the rough math on this. To hire somebody to do it, we could make it up with one person, but one person isn't just a person, it's a person, and it's equipment, it's a truck, and it's all that, right? And so, or we could hire consultants to do it. If you look at, a 3.0 multiplier on labor, you're at $150,000, right? And that doesn't include ODCs, taxes, insurance, all the other things, a profit, right? I mean, they're going to charge profit. So, you're looking at doing the same amount of work for substantially more than what we're paying for it now. And that would be my problem moving forward. If we were to rescind the contract and we weren't to use the DOC anymore, we'd have to cover that gap. And of course, it's in the utility, and that's covered by utility rates.
This is not a business case discussion.
Yeah.
It's an ethics
Not yet.
discussion.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, nothing that you've shared would change my
Yeah.
take at all. I think the ethics of, I would have real ethical problems with taking this opportunity away from
Those
the,
individuals.
setting aside the benefit that the city gets from, providing this opportunity. I would have a real ethical problem personally, taking that opportunity away from those conducts. I think that this is, in their best interest in every way, and I would say the same thing about the city.
And that's probably the conversation we need to have with the Department of Corrections of what are the benefits to the inmates? And, is this strictly voluntarily, or is there some soft discussion with them about, hey, this would be good for you? Where's that level? Because you're starting to get into that gray line of, do we feel comfortable with this? And you heard the conversation we had last time. Again, it's not a business case discussion. It's a principles and ethics discussion. Do we feel good? Can we really say, or can Department of Corrections convince us, yes, this is good for the inmates? And no, none of them are soft coerced into doing this. And have that discussion.
Yeah, I would say that if you wanted to have a discussion about what's wrong with prison in our country, I could join you in concerns about that, and about how poorly we do prison in America. We should do it a lot better than we do. But none of my many concerns about the way we do prison in this country are related to this at all. I think this is a 100% net good. And I think it'd be a real tragedy for everybody involved if we lost this opportunity. Thank you.
Mhm.
And I also want to say, this is my last one of these meetings, and your department, I love all of those people. And you guys do such a great job, and our city is so fortunate to have such a conscientious Parks and Public Works crew, team. It's just such a wonderful department, and you run it so well. And I feel so blessed that I've gotten to work with you over the last few years.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. And I appreciate all the support that you've given us as well. Yeah. You're making me emotional.
This is Jeff emotional. I love it. All right. Anything else that we want to add to the agenda? Yeah.
Are you looking to bring that discussion again to council in the next meeting?
Yeah, you know, what would be great is if at the next meeting, Jeff, I don't know if you're going to have any chance to reach out to DOC between now and then.
Not likely.
Okay.
Holiday
right.
season, everything else.
No, I think that'd be great if you were able to say at the next meeting that you've reached out and are trying to arrange to have somebody come and discuss the merits of the program. That'd be fabulous. Okay. But yes, let's bring that to the next meeting.
Discussion.
Yeah. All right. I think we're at the end of the agenda. Kat, you want to do your thing?
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
We are adjourned.